Hello everybody. Today we are going to demonstrate how to obtain a whole blood donation from a blood donor. So we have our quad bag here. We have our guarded hemostats. We have our line roller. We have gauze. We have alcohol gauze and some chlorhexidine prep, as well as our clippers. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to find our area. So we're going to have our team member occlude the jugular. We're going to locate that jugular. Once we locate it, we can have them unocclude. And then we're going to shave an area, and we want the area to be about 1 inch to 1.5 inches around. It doesn't need to be too big, too small, but we want it to be around that jugular or where you're going to poke. Then what I'm going to do is I am going to take an alcohol-soaked gauze, and I'm just going to go around the edges of that shaved area, pick up any loose hairs that may have gotten in the area, but also getting that hair out of the area, especially if it's a long-haired donor. Then I'm going to take 2 chlorhexidine prep scrubs, and I'm just going to do a surgical prep one after another as I'm demonstrating here. Now it's time to poke. So this is a 19 gauge needle, so please be very careful when you're inserting it into the jugular, but it's just like a blood draw. So what you're going to do is have your team member occlude your jugular. Once you have them occlude, you're going to feel for that jugular. Now your team member is going to have to occlude this the whole entire time throughout the donation. Once you have that jugular, you poke just like a blood draw, and you'll see the blood filling up in the line. Now, these quad bags do have a little reservoir on the side of that, and that's just a sampling bag if we needed to collect any lab samples or anything like that, which we don't need to do. So inside here, there is a gel seal, which we do need to break. Once we break that, the blood is going to flow through the line down to the collection bags. This has already been zeroed out, the scale, with everything on it. Now, we are looking to get up to 450 mLs for this donation. So how are we going to figure that out? Well, each gram is going to be equivalent to 1 ml. It's actually 0.9434 mLs equals 1.06 grams. But that's just a little bit difficult to remember. So we just do 1 ml, 1 gram. So we want to see those numbers rise on that scale. And there's going to be occasional times where you're going to have a volume loss in that vessel. So if you do have that volume loss in that vessel, sometimes you just need to redirect. But donations should take anywhere roughly about 15 to 20 minutes to do. I'm demonstrating right here, right now, how there's a volume loss. And how we recognize that is our numbers on the scale stop growing. So what we're going to do is just redirect our needle. Maybe it's up against a vessel wall. We're going to redirect it until we start to see those numbers rise again. So as you can see, those numbers are rising. And there are times where sometimes the occluder needs to re-occlude because after a while their hands get sore, things like that. So these are great times to monitor your patient, make sure that respiration rate and effort are doing well as heart rate. Right now we are done with our transfusion. So we're going to place a clean gauze over that insertion. Your team member is going to hold it there. Now, before we remove the needle, we need to make sure that this stays a close collection. So we're going to have to take our guarded hemostat and place it at the end of that hub. Okay. So here we are placing that guarded hemostat at the end of the hub. And once we do that, we can then take out that needle. Again, be careful. I always keep the needle cap handy and just place that on. Now we're going to take our second guarded hemostat and we're going to place that below that seal, that inline seal. Okay. So from there, I'm going to take my line roller. I'm going to take my bag out of my collection cylinder and I'm going to take my line roller. I'm going to take this hemostat off because I'm going to need it. But as you can see, it's still all in the line. So I'm going to take that line roller and I'm going to roll the blood down into the bag. Now, these lines are really, really durable, so you can pull really hard. They're not going to break. This is a little bit harder of a pull, and it's just because of the type of fluid that we are using. Instead of blood, blood's a lot easier to roll down. There's about 14 mLs of blood in these lines, so we definitely want to keep as much blood as possible. So we're going to get all the way down to that bag, and we're going to put a guarded hemostat right there. Now, if we were keeping this for storage, we would do a couple pigtails for sampling, but a lot of our whole blood donations go donation right to patient. So that's what we're doing here. There's already been cross-match. We've already done all that stuff. So we are just collecting this blood. So we're going to take our aluminum clamp. We're going to fold over that line. And you can see there's X's on the lines. That's where you can fold over and place your clamps if you wanted to make pigtails. So we're going to fold that line over. We're going to place that aluminum clamp right there. Get that all nice and snugged in. Then we're going to take our line rollers and we're going to clamp that down. Yes, this is a multi-tool. So you can see the front of that. That's where we would put the aluminum clamp. And then we go right down and make a nice squeeze. Now I like to do 2 aluminum clamps just because that's how I am. Another way to seal these bags is with a heat sealer. We do not have that, but if we did, we would be using a heat sealer. We're just placing that second clamp on. And if we wanted to make another pigtail, we could. But we would have to let blood come back into the line. So then we would put that guarded hemostat at the end of the line that we want, or at the end of where we wanted those pigtails. So now we have all these other 3 bags that are attached to this one bag. So how do we get rid of those? Now on that collection bag, in that line right there, there is a sealer, just like in the beginning. There is a sealer here. You need to crack that seal for that blood to flow into those other bags. Now, things can happen, so I'm always a precaution person, and I always throw some aluminum clamps on this line as well. So here's me just putting those aluminum clamps on, securing them down. And there we have it. Now we just clip those lines, slap a donor sticker on there, which those are located inside the donor binder, and we're good to go. Thank you.